first guest. He is the writer of such amazing comic books as this, Gotham by Gaslight, a Batman story, A Tale of the Batman, published by DC Comics. He has some other books that we will discuss here very shortly. It's my pleasure to introduce Brian Augustyn to the Phoenix United States. And myself saying your name 3 times, I haven't said it right yet.
No, it was 3 different wrong ways, yeah.
Yeah, what is the correct pronunciation of it?
Augustyn.
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 Augustyn. Augustyn, okay, Brian Augustyn. It would be a pleasure, are you right-handed?
Yes.
It would be a pleasure to get slapped by that hand because I can only assume it's the one that penned this amazing graphic novel. Gotham by Gaslight.
I typed with both hands.
Oh, both hands. Okay, then you could, hit me all down too.
Before I forget, by the way, that Sheriff Joe movie that was referenced?
The TV show with Steven Seagal?
Steven Seagal. I think
Yes.
that was Racist Instinct. I could be wrong.
Racist Awesome. It was an exclusive to Phoenix Tonight, everybody. So, you've written a lot of comic books, a lot of graphic novels. For those of us that aren't as familiar with your career as they should be, how did you break into the comic book writing industry?
Weirdly enough, I had dabbled around the edges. I'm from Chicago,
Yeah.
and I broke into comics by being essentially a gopher for a company called First Comics. And I became a sort of an editorial intern while I was there. And the gentleman I worked for, a guy named Mike Gold, who started First Comics, got hired by DC, and shortly thereafter, he brought me out.
And what year would that have been?
I got to DC 87, November of 87.
Okay, great. And shortly thereafter, you write this.
This is 89.
89? Okay,
Yeah.
so when the Tim Burton Batman movie came out, the same year.
We were so lucky, yes.
Yeah.
Not that, of course, it wasn't a wonderful book. I mean, it's got art by Mike Mignola, who created Hellboy. Went on to some fame of his own. But yeah, the Burton film came out in the summer, I think, of that year. We came out about 3 months later, right around Halloween time. Somebody figured Jack Ripper and Batman, Victorian times, Halloween was a good time. So everything Batman went through the roof, and we were blessed by our proximity.
That's great. And that is the premise of the book, is that the Waynes were alive in the Victorian era.
Victorian Gotham, yeah.
They were murdered, of course, as the story goes, and Bruce grows up, becomes the Batman, and is on the Jack the Ripper case, basically.
He doesn't know it, but yes.
Yes, okay. Very cool. And how did you get such an idea? Because at the time, displaced era stories weren't as common as they might be today.
Right, everybody, because it takes place in Victorian times and all, I don't think there's anything run by steam in my book. Steampunk got us a little more attention.
Sure.
I mean, God bless him, it's helped keep the book alive. There's a fellow named Mark Waid who writes comics as well, much more famous than I am, although I'm discovering. He was editing a book called Secret Origins, which was DC's book to tell everybody over and over and over again how, in slightly different, more interesting ways every time, how Batman came to be, or Superman came to be, or Jimmy Olsen came to be, or whoever. By that point, he may have been down to Ambush Bug, or
Sure.
Who cares, man. And so he called me. We were both editors at the time, and he called me and he said, "They've given me an annual. I can barely fill the monthly book." And somehow in the middle of the conversation, we started filling the annual with alternative origins. And he said to me, what would an alternative origin be? And I said, well, like Batman, Bruce Wayne becomes Batman in the 1880s.
Sure.
Victorian times.
Sure.
And then we spun out from there, Superman in Russia or whatever. We didn't know there wasn't a such thing. DC then later had a thing called the Elseworlds, which is where they did that displaced time or displaced hero thing. But we just thought it was going to be part of an annual. But he said to me, we're talking at home, and he said, I like that Batman Victorian, what would you do? I said, well, it's the right time for Jack the Ripper.
Wow.
All of
That's
this is
simple.
just tossed around.
Sure.
And he goes, I like that, we should think about that. And by the morning, I had typed up the 2-page premise. He went to get approval for that for an annual. And Dick Giordano, the late great Dick Giordano, my boss, editor-in-chief at the time, great artist, said, this isn't an annual, this is a special.
Wow.
Find a special worthy artist, and we'll make it into what they then were calling new format, which is square bound, shiny paper,
Sure. Even the term graphic novel was relatively new at the time.
In the late 80s, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Eisner had done Contract with God and a few other things that qualified. But, Marvel and DC had done a few, like magazine-sized things that were graphic novels, like the original New Mutants and things like that. So we weren't inventing that form, but we were inventing, I guess, the alternate history thing. And that same day, Mike Mignola came in to drop off his last pages on a job he was doing for Superman's editor, and we cornered him. He said, I got 2 minutes. I got to get across to Marvel. I'm starting a Wolverine graphic novel tomorrow.
Wow.
I got no time for anything. We said, just listen. And 20 minutes into the pitch, he started adding things to the story. And there came a moment when he said, basically, oh shit, I'm doing this book, aren't I? As it turned out, yes, he was.
He was. And beautifully so. Probably some of the best work of his career at the time. And it launched him to notoriety. So he created Hellboy.
I would say he certainly was a star at the time, or a rising star at the time. I can take no credit for his celebrity. I do, but I shouldn't.
It's of note, too, that he drew the 4-issue Rocket Raccoon. So
I believe he did that just before here.
Yeah, and Rocket is now very popular for Guardians of the Galaxy.
Right, and
so,
as Mike likes to say, he cashes that check every month.
so
which is to say nothing.
Well, you're here, and
I like to remind Mike that that book is what launched him from rising star to superstar.
Wow, I think that's well put. He, with the creation of Hellboy, and you with the creation of some other very notable characters, you had a strong influence on the Flash's story.
I was the editor of Flash and eventually the writer.
And you oversaw the creation, or at least the architecture of the character Wally West. Is that right? Kid Flash?
I inherited Wally somewhere in his 20-some issues.
Okay.
27, something like that. And then eventually hired Wade to write it, and we built it into, I think we were bucking the trend at the time and actually increased sales.
It was under your it was under your supervision that he became the Flash, or had he already been?
Yeah, he'd already been the Flash.
Oh, okay.
He had been Kid Flash, and then there was the Crisis and all the stuff that followed.
Post-Crisis, which is really
And you don't need to know any of that stuff. And
it doesn't matter now anyway.
But Google, if you really care.
Google post-crisis, you'll see a picture of me at 15 years old, sitting in my bedroom alone, reading a comic book with my friends out the window having fun. I think that's basically what you'll see. If you search post-crisis. So what do you think of characters that you oversaw back in the day, now becoming popular thanks to multimedia? Wally West is on a Flash TV show.
Well,
Batman.
Wally's a side character now on the Flash. They went with the original, our original Flash, Barry Allen, for the TV show. I love the TV show.
It's great.
It captures the right spirit, the right mood, and regardless of whether it's Barry or Wally, they every now and then, I get a thrill up my spine when something that Wade and I came up with, pops up.
Sure.
Speed Force.
The Speed Force.
Yeah.
That was under your.
Yeah, that was me. Google that too. Yeah. But yeah, I love it. In fact, for all of the whiz bang of the movies, I think DC's TV stuff is some of the best translations of superheroes. I love that. Flash. Love Supergirl.
So I got to ask you.
Yeah.
Wally in the comics was a redhead, if I recall.
He was a redhead. He was a ginger. Yeah.
Now he's an African American on the Flash TV show. Jimmy Olsen, also a redhead, a ginger in the comics, and now an African American on Supergirl. What does DC TV have against redheads? That's my question. Am I right? Yeah. Am I right? Thank you. Nobody's put this together yet.
I have to be honest with you. If I thought of it, we would have done it.
That's my personal crisis.
In the
right?
1980s, 90s, we didn't know that we were supposed to dislike redheads, so
mean-
I'm not sure what it is. I'm not sure what it is.
There are scientific studies that say redheads are an endangered species, so maybe DC's trying to get in front of it. Even with the Batman v Superman, they're saying that photographer haplessly killed in the first 2 minutes of the movie
Spoiler alert.
was Jimmy.
Yeah.
I mean, spoiler alert, you could accidentally walk into the theater because you thought you were going to go see a better movie, see that scene accidentally, and then walk out. But, see them? Oh, you haven't seen it? So, oh, sorry about that.
No, it's okay. Trust me, the internet alone spoiled it
Oh,
long
of
ago.
course. And how do you feel about that? Being a writer,
Yeah.
when you're toiling over a script, I can imagine that there are certain twists, turns, secrets that you're excited to surprise the reader with. And now we live in a very spoiler-driven culture. How do you feel about that stuff coming to light on the internet before the story is shared with the audience? Do you have an opinion on that?
One of the best things about being a writer, certainly one of the best things about being an editor or working in collaboration with another, like with Wade, I co-wrote a bunch of stuff with Mark Wade, not just Flash, we did Justice League Year One, things like that. Was that those giddy moments when we knew we were getting one over.
Yeah.
It was like almost like taking pleasure in the evil scheming we were de facto,
Sure.
by extension of our characters, getting away with. Barry Allen died in Crisis long ago, and we did a short storyline where we made it look as though he came back. Made it look as though he came back by way of time travel or something like that. And then we slowly, while everyone was cheering and loving this, because Barry Allen was at the time DC's first canonized saint, literally, because he sacrificed himself for for the multiverse, I guess, for all creation.
Gingers included.
He was blonde, but yes, he loved gingers equally.
Yeah.
So we did this thing where Wade and I brought it back. And then we slowly started to chip away at that, so that, be careful what you wish for kind of thing.
Yeah.
And made him seemingly falling apart, crumbling, becoming evil. And in the end, we revealed that it had never been Barry Allen at all. But in connection with the TV show, it had been Zoom.
Ah, wow, cool.
Who, for whatever reason, but while we were doing that, literally, people would come down listening to us giggle in the office and want to know, like, literally, what were we doing to those little kids? No, what were we getting away with?
Well, those kids were
We sounded like school children ourselves. That sounded a lot weirder than I intended.
The kids were home reading comics,
And really, what were we getting away with, right?
It was echoing through the streets of.
So frankly, the best stuff happens when you can get excited about it, when you get charged up about it, and a lot of that does have to do with, not so much the feeling that you're getting away with something, but that you're really doing your job. And I think if surprises get spoiled, everybody suffers because, and I suddenly sound like everybody's dad. Keep it up and you'll ruin it for everyone. But it doesn't matter how the writers feel about it, or how the creators or the editors or the publishers feel about it. The people who are going to read that story and it's going to fall flat for them, they're not getting everything we were wanting to put in the story for them. It's not become an art to be able to avoid the spoil.
Sure. And some studios have been able to do that.
Yeah.
Warner Brothers included with some stuff I didn't anticipate Batman v Superman. So.
And I think that both film companies are trying to throw the Easter eggs at you, or give you that moment of surprise, or that guy in the background turns out to be,
Sure,
et cetera. Thanos at the end of the Avengers, things like that. I think that it's not the end of the world, but I think sometimes people are spoiling just for the sake of spoiling.
sure.
So
You brought some of your latest work that I'd like to share. If
that's
you
why
want.
I brought product.
Yes, you did. And this is a great place to plug. We have some books that are out this month in April, some that have yet to be released. Is that
A
right?
couple of them are coming out like in a week or two.
Okay. Is this a re-release?
This is a re-release of Gaslight with its sequel.
Oh, the what's it called? Future.
Master of the Future.
Master of the Future is in here too. Wow, that's fantastic.
So that's a double book, and that's the edition that's currently available, but it's in print.
That's cool.
So if you go into your comic shop and say, I really have to read Gotham by Gaslight, let's all say it together.
I really have to read Gotham by Gaslight.
They will give you that, or they will order that.
Cool. Okay, you can see how well read my copy is.
Yes,
compared to this
I'm
fresh
proud of
copy.
you. I'm proud of you.
Off
If you had rolled it and put it in your pocket, I'd be even happier.
Would you really?
That's how we used to do comics.
I was going to say, you're pro reading, not so, I don't want to say anti-collector, but these are meant
No, I'm not
to be
into-
enjoyed.
Enjoy them.
These are meant to be read.
There will always be books you can put one away if you have to, want
Sure,
to.
sure.
Mind you, I don't make a dime to put it away. That's okay.
These are beautiful hardcover.
This
These
is
are beautiful books.
did a book with Umberto Ramos, who does Spectacular, Superior, something for Marvel right now. But this is a teen angst vampire tale. No, nobody glitters, I promise you that. It's pre-glittering vampires, in fact. We started this in mid-90s, late 90s, and wrapped it up around the turn of the last century. As they've now lived in 2 centuries. And there are days still, for sure. But anyway, Boom Studios has, we originally published it to Cliffhanger Wildstorm, but Boom Studios has republished in, I think it's 2 books. So this edition and that edition collect the entirety, and it's a reasonable 35 bucks. So again, these should be in the comic shops even as we speak. That one's about to come out in 2 weeks.
Wow, I'm holding a book that isn't released yet.
That's right. Somehow it's time travel to join us here today.
Wow. Unless it tricks me into thinking that it's here and then it becomes an evil version of itself. And this concludes.
That's right. Join us next week.
And then last but not least, Out There.
Out There also with Umberto Ramos. Out was our follow-up to Crimson
Yeah, this is a great book.
from the early part of 2000 through 2004, something like that. But Boom is now collecting this. Thank God for rights reverting to the creators. And
I'll give it up for that.
that'll be in 3 editions, and that's the first one, and that ships, I think, this week. So this is a Teens Against Evil, a
All
trope that was not quite as rife as it was at the time. But it's 4 mismatched teen high school students who find that they can see the evil that their parents cannot.
Wow, so most of this takes place at a Donald Trump rally?
It
Or
does, in fact, except for the parts where they go to Hollywood Walk of Fame.
And that's where the title Out There came from, I guess, right?
Well, yeah, Outhouse was taken, and anyway, that may be a TV show. So we're in development on Out There as a TV show.
Oh, that's great.
So
Oh, congratulations on that.
we have a 1 in 8,000 chance, but it's at least being looked at.
Very cool. Would that any particular network or just
It's
shop it
being
out?
developed by a studio, so
Okay.
it'll be shot.
Sure.
I mean, nowadays the options are so great. I mean,
Yeah.
streaming,
Absolutely.
but whatever, basic cable.
Yeah, absolutely.
Network, but we're looking for live action, and some fairly major names are already involved, and
It's
from the
fantastic.
studio that brought you Rookie Blue, in fact.
Oh,
They probably brought you lots more.
is that Harrison Ford or Steven Seagal?
Racist instinct.
Racist instinct. Brian, I cannot thank you enough for being here, for promoting your work,
Thank
being
you
a part
for-
of Phoenix tonight.
Thank you for having me. I'm a neighbor, I'm a local, so.
Well, absolutely. Well, I'm a fan, and I'm happy to call you a friend too, Brian. Thank
Well,
you. And pick up anything with his name on it. Just say, give me that one. It's spelled for you. You don't even have to say it out loud. It's on the cover.
Just point at it.
Point at it, and they will be happy to help you, again, at your local comic book.